All right, today we're jumping headfirst into the world of Reaper, a digital audio workstation that's famous for just how much you can customize it. And we're going to look at this incredible set of power tools that, seriously, don't just save you hours of boring work, they actually let you build the production workflow of your dreams. Let's do it.
I mean, really think about that for a second. How much of your creative time do you lose just fighting with your software? You know, doing the same tedious clicky-clicky tasks over and over again? What if you could just bend your software to your will, automate all the boring stuff, and just focus on being creative?
Well, in the REPR universe, there's this amazing community of developers who are tackling that exact problem. And today, we're digging into a brilliant set of power tools from one coder, a guy named Hazi, that go after two of the biggest headaches in modern production: saving a ton of time and capturing that elusive analog warmth.
Okay, so first up, let's talk about time, and specifically the absolutely soul-crushing amount of time we spend on one of the most common jobs in any mix session: lining up vocals.
Oh yeah, if you've ever stacked backing vocals or doubled a guitar part, you know exactly what I'm talking about. All that nudging of audio clips, the slicing, the stretching, it is a click-by-click nightmare that just completely yanks you out of the creative zone. I mean, there has to be a better way, right?
And you know what? There is. And it's all thanks to some seriously clever math called FFT cross-correlation. Look, all you need to know is this. It's a technique that lets a script listen to two audio files, compare their unique sonic fingerprints, and then calculate the exact timing difference between them. It's kind of like how our ears can tell if two sounds are perfectly in sync, but this thing has like superhuman precision.
So this is where all that complicated math gets super simple to use. With this tool, the Hazi Align Take script, the whole process is just unbelievably straightforward. You pick your main take, you call that the guide, then you select all the other tracks you want to align, those are your dubs. You hit one button to analyze, and then you can just fine-tune the alignment in real time with a slider. It is that fast. Seriously. But what makes this tool so ridiculously powerful is how smart it is. This is not some one-size-fits-all thing. The Smart Suggest feature actually listens to your audio and recommends the best settings for the job. So for drums, it uses a really short analysis window to lock onto those sharp, punchy hits. But for bass, it uses a much longer window to accurately track those deep, rolling, low frequencies. It literally changes its whole approach based on what you feed it. Okay, so we've tackled those tiny micro-timing issues, and that's saving us a ton of clicks. But what about the bigger, more complex workflows? I'm talking about those multi-step processes you do every single day where a simple one-click macro just isn't going to cut it.
Yeah, the problem is standard macros are, well, they're kind of dumb. They just run a straight line of commands. They can't make decisions. They can't loop through, say, 10 selected tracks and do something to each one. They can't store a value in a variable. And they definitely can't pause and ask you for input before they keep going.
And this is where the meta-scripting tool comes in. Think of it like a macro builder on steroids. It can do everything a normal macro can't. You can use if-else logic to make decisions. You can tell it to iterate or loop through every single selected item. You can create variables, and you build these super complex chains of logic using a simple drag-and-drop interface. And the best part? You can export your new creation as its own standalone script that you can share or just stick on a hotkey. All right, we've covered workflow, we've covered automation. But what about the sound itself? Let's totally shift gears and talk about one of the holy grails of digital production: getting that warm, cohesive, analog character.
We all know digital is precise, right? It's clean, it's perfect. But sometimes that perfection can feel a little bit sterile, a little cold. Analog gear, though, with all its beautiful little imperfections, it adds warmth, saturation, and this kind of musical glue that just helps everything in a mix sit together nicely. And let's be honest, a lot of us spend a lot of time and money chasing that sound.
So a huge part of that analog sound is something called saturation, and it often comes from vacuum tubes. See, when you push a signal through a tube, it doesn't just get louder, it gets richer. The tube actually adds these new, musically related harmonics to the sound. It's like you're adding more layers of paint to a color, making it more complex and pleasing. And our ears just hear that as warmth and fullness. Now check this out. There's a specific design choice in the Hazi MEQ5 equalizer that reveals a real pro-level technique. The saturation circuit is placed before the EQ filters. Now, what does that mean? It means you're not just EQing the original sound, you are actually shaping the harmonic character of the saturation itself.
It's a subtle detail, but it's incredibly powerful, and it's what makes the whole thing sound so musical.
And this whole philosophy is baked right into a dedicated analog toolkit. First, you've got the W-Comp. It's this super versatile compressor that can be really clean and modern using its look-ahead feature, or it can get all colored and warm when you flick on its analog mode. Then there's the MEQ5, which is a Pultec-style mid-range EQ. These things are famous because they can boost and cut the same frequency at the same time, which creates these really unique tonal curves. It's just perfect for sculpting the core of a sound, adding body down low or some presence up in the highs.
So, when you put all this together, what does it all add up to? Whether we're talking about saving time, building complex automation, or dialing in the perfect tone, the theme here is exactly the same.
What these tools prove is a really powerful idea, that the ultimate workflow, the peak of your productivity and creativity, isn't something you get by just learning the software you're given. No, you get there when you start shaping that software into the exact tool you need for the job you're doing.
Yeah, you don't need to go out and buy a new piece of gear or a whole new program. With a platform like REAPER that you can customize and this community of innovators, you can literally build your perfect workflow piece by piece. The ultimate workflow isn't bought, it's built.
And that really just leaves us with one final question. Now that you've seen what's possible, what's that one repetitive task, that one creative bottleneck in your own process that you just wish you could automate away? What tool would you build?